Here we go. So I am officially calling the meeting to order for the Madison Park Board on Monday, December 2nd. Approval of the minutes from last meeting. I was remote, so I'll let you guys act upon that. Can I get a witness?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The claims have been approved. Does anybody have any discussion about the claims? A question? Hesitation? Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve the claims as presented to us.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your cooperation. New business, Mr. Klein.
Thank you. The first new business item is the approval of the rate changes for 2025. We've gone through, we've had the two readings. The only change that we had after last reading was the adjustment at the Brown Gym for the combination of the walking and exercise program, which we lowered per your request. Everything else has stayed the same as we discussed, and we need approval for 2025 rates.
Does anybody have any discussion about that? I mean, we discussed it at length at our last meeting, but has anybody else come across anything else that they would like to talk about, propose, question, etc.?
I've had zero comments from people out in the community, so people might not be happy about a few.
I read the email from you today. Oh, you didn't tell me to do that. I can do that. Yes. Would you remind me, though, when you want me to forward, just remind me to do that, because it's a private email, and so I want to make sure it's okay. I want your permission. Like, I don't share everything that people send me to my city email, so I would just appreciate you to. Gotcha. You're right, they don't have city email. We should look into that, because they should all be able to receive mail, too, from people in the community.
I'll check with Hannah and see how we can do that.
That's a good point.
That's pretty good, but otherwise, I've had no concerns, especially with the golf course. You know, some people might not be totally happy with it, but I think there's understanding, especially since we're still operating at a loss. So we got to do what we got to do.
Okay, so I'm going to real quick look up that email from Jan and share the points with you guys real quick, if I can find it. There it is. Okay. These are Jan's points that I was supposed to share with you but didn't realize. The annual pass rate for seniors and special groups at $100 is okay. I would suggest that for poor people who have less money that are seniors, that we find a way to work with the Bethany Legacy Foundation to pay for them if they want to pass, like we did with the families this summer. Jan would like us to extend that to the senior age group also, if they would qualify through the clearinghouse like the families did this summer. She also said if we would lower the family pass to $350, we would only need to sell 4 more passes to make the same amount of money that we did last year on the family passes. And she says, by announcing the significant cut in that price and pushing your sales before May, you should be able to sell significantly more. If you lower the individual pass to $150, which I think that's $175 now, is that correct? You only need to sell 5 more passes to make that same revenue. And the park board really pushed for the 20 punches as a great alternative to the high cost of the annual pass, but not many of those were sold. It's still a good idea, especially for families or visitors. People need to know that they can use multiple punches for a single visit. So you think people really thought one person, one punch per visit? that we didn't,
Last year it was open.
so, but, okay. So she would just like us to promote more, hey, this, you can bring a family of 12 and use 12 punches. She just wants to make sure people understand that better. The beauty of selling the pass is that you get your money up front and should make getting into the pool easier. At first I was upset about raising the daily fee from 5 to 7, but it could drive more sale of the passes by doing that. The biggest problem is getting the young folks to be able to make change quickly so that the lines are not longer. Oh, and the last thing, as you had envisioned before the pool opened, the biggest opportunity for revenue is the concession stand. I'm curious why you think it was so low per visit and how it could be expanded. So I will go ahead and still share that with you all, but just in case anything rings true to you tonight that you'd like to discuss.
Scott, do you have thoughts on any of that? Because, just seeing it today with us being supposed to vote on it, it's late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of those suggestions are out of bounds as to suggestions. I think they're all very good suggestions. I just don't know. We had 1 year under our belt. I think a lot of people took the wait and see attitude last year of let's see what the pool does and how it is. And I don't know if it's going to be different this year, better or worse. I'm hoping it's better, and we'll get more response. But I think
In regards to what?
any of the memberships, any of the seasonal passes, anything that we've had, I think a lot of people didn't want to spend money because they weren't sure what the pool was going to do. I think going into this coming year, they've had a year to see how the pool operates, and I think that'll be a selling point for us. So I'm almost willing to leave prices the way they are to get through this summer and then see. And if we get the same kind of numbers after this year, then I think it's a valid point to start talking about whether or not we're missing people because they don't want to pay a season pass, or we actually benefit from season passes not being sold because they're doing more day passes than season passes. Honestly, for me, it's about revenue and how do we make the most revenue. So, the mayor's had conversations, y'all have had conversations. I don't think any of the numbers that Jan posited in that email were outrageous or out of the realm of possibilities. So I guess the answer is I don't really care if we go up or down a little bit. We didn't have a lot of family passes last year, but that rate is lower than the mayor originally wanted, so I know he has an opinion on that, and I think the numbers that we have here are based upon the conversation we've had with him, so we know that he's in favor of these rates, and at this point in time, I wouldn't want to go back
Undermine
and restart
that.
the clock again for another 3 months trying to figure out rates if we change them.
What is the punch card, the 20, I know what it is, but how much, remind me how much it costs, because it's not on here.
It's $85 for 20 entries. And that doesn't change this coming year, even though we've raised the daily entry fee to $7 instead of $5. So they're actually getting a little bit better value than
Well,
the
that's a
last year.
really good value based on just the entry price.
Right.
And if I'm a family, rather than spend a lot more for a family pass and not sure if you're going to use it all, I can see why the punch card would be good, especially if it's for anybody and everybody that can use it.
Yeah.
Because you can buy a number of those and use them up before you would feel like you're not getting, the bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think-
lowering the senior pass, I know we're not lowering the amount, but going down from 65 to 55 should include a number of people.
How many days is the pool open?
100 days.
And okay, so what's a
family?
A family pass is
$475,
$475.
$450.
And remind me,
It's not on here, so we don't have it.
because we're not changing, we didn't change the rate, but
Right.
if we use the family pass, anybody can come in on that family pass.
Yeah, we weren't checking IDs, we weren't
Any
limiting.
friends, family.
As long as you were covered under the four, if mom, dad, and Susie brought Susie's friend, then that was part of the family.
It was
pass.
just 4 people, that was the
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. We weren't restrictive on that family pass.
You could get 80 visits for $340. It's still cheaper if you use the punch.
Mhm.
So that's okay. You know,
Didn't sell very many punches either.
no. I think it might be a little bit more popular this year with the rate going up to 7 though. Because then you're looking at what, $4 and change per visit?
$450, yeah.
Is that explained when they're sold?
Yeah, they know it's just 20 entries. We don't say it's 20 entries.
But they don't know that it can be multiple entries in one visit, or?
Well, Jan doesn't think we've done a good job promoting that throughout the whole city. Like the people who buy it, when they buy it, we explain that. But she's thinking we can sell more by saying, putting it out there on social media or wherever, like, hey, you can use 8 punches on one day if you want.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's just assumed. It's 20 entries for $85. We don't say it's $4, it's 4 entries per day. We don't limit the number of entries per day. We just say it's 20 entries for $85.
But you know what they say about assume?
Yeah, I could
mean-
see how somebody would just be like, okay, I use my punch for today.
Yeah. We can do a better job
Well, I
promoting.
think a flyer with all the options just for the pool, either hanging up all over the pool or on social media would be better, and we can explain each one better, because that's a big difference. If people can understand these a little bit better, they'll save a lot more money
We're
and
going
use
to
the pool
roll
more.
out a sheet in January that talks about all of our rates and all of our packages and everything that's
Okay.
for the pool. So there'll be a full-page sheet of basically Crystal Beach, here's what to expect coming summer 2025, and all those rates will be included in there with the descriptions of what they are.
So let's just make sure when we do the punch card that it says you can use as many punches on a single day as you like. You can bring a party of 10 kids on a punch card. You just can't have the party room without the reservation. Okay,
Hold on.
Yeah,
Is
go ahead.
Is it a realistic possibility to do that for low-income seniors? Ms. Beatrice's suggestion?
That's a suggestion I can have with Bethany Legacy Foundation, because I've already had a conversation with Dora about looking into families that are on reduced lunch or free lunch, because they're not always included in SNAP. So we've already had that conversation as well, and they're open to that. So I think the idea that we can, because we had some seniors on the SNAP WIC entry this past year. Didn't have a lot, but we did have a few, with just single individuals who were older who were in that program, and they were part of the Bethany program. So I think we've got to figure out the question of there's always a next question, right? So for us is, what are the parameters, and then how do we verify parameters? So with SNAP WIC, it's easy. They've got a card, they have a letter, they've got something that verifies they're in the program. Same thing with reduced or free lunch. There is something that says this is how they qualify. How do we do that for a senior? How do we verify that they have the price bracket or the income bracket? What is that income bracket? What do we think it should be? I think that's a conversation we can have with Dora, and we can talk with them about it for sure. And then we can kind of come up with the parameters for that in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So when we advertise, we can have that clear. She may say, no, we don't want to do that, and that's fine and well and good, but we can definitely talk to her about it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not a problem at all.
okay, so we'll keep that conversation going.
Can we rename the family pass, family/friends pass, so people know?
We can call it
Oh.
family and friends.
I mean, I'm looking at it, one person can go 67 times on the 475 family pass. But if 4 people are getting in for that same amount, it's like, whatever, 2.5, you're getting that's not a bad deal if 4 people are coming in every time on that family pass.
Right.
If they know that it can be anybody and not just certain people.
Yeah, it's about 15 days probably if 4 people come in every time on the
Right.
pass. And I know it's not a value for everybody, but there are some people that would see value in it just the same as the golf course. The golf course has optional fees. You can get a season pass, or you can pay as you go, or there's other options that fall in between. And I feel like we're doing the same thing with the pool. When I do the math and see that I could take my family 15 times and get my money out of it, out of 100 days, barring weather, I feel like if I'm going, I feel like I'm getting, the value for the money. Otherwise, I'm gonna do a 20 punch card or whatever, so.
Okay, so I move that we accept the changes in our rates for 2025.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
I
second it
think
then.
so. Second,
Mr.
yeah.
Second today.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
I thought
Go ahead.
Carla did, but
Well,
Carla did?
Carla made a motion.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, I
No,
second
that's
it.
all right. That's okay. I made the motion. Phil is my second.
Okay.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, our meeting dates and times. We have the paper in front of us of all the meetings for 2025. We just need to vote on that. Would someone else like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposed meeting dates and time change.
I will second that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Now we move on to reports from our park officials.
We are ready to go for this Christmas parade on Saturday. We have full sponsorships paid for. I don't have the number of entry for you. Tanya, if you have that, I can email that. And then we've got all of our volunteers lined up as well. So we're fully staffed for it, we're fully paid for it, and we've got a good parade. So we're excited for that. It's going to be cold, so dress warmly. Senior Center update, they had a pitch-in last Monday for Thanksgiving. That was very well received. Wednesday, they're doing drop-in crafts for faux stained glass. I don't know what the sign-up is for that. I think typically they've been having 6 to 8 to 10 people, depending on what they're doing. But staying active over there, and everybody seems to be fairly happy at the Senior Center. Father-daughter and mother-son dances were very well received. We sold out in reservations. It was a free event, so we sold out 160 reservations for each one. We averaged probably 50% attendance for each one, so 80 people for each event, which was still a pretty good amount of people. Next year we're thinking about maybe, or next time we do it, may not be next year, maybe sooner than that. Well, it's December. It will be next year. We may look at doing a small, like a $5 fee, just so. We had a lot of people who wanted to come late, but we were sold out, so they didn't sign up. So that may deter some of the people who aren't going to come. Now that they paid $5, maybe they'll come. Kids will be free, but we'll figure that out. I think we'll do another one in the spring and see how that goes. But it was a good event for us, so we're happy with it. We'll move on to some new reservation software we're looking at. Right now, we are using RecDesk, and RecDesk has been problematic in terms of user friendliness on the customer side. It's tough to navigate. It's hard for us on the back end to do reports and to really manage the system. It's a bit outdated. It really isn't a current, like I would say, electronic-based system. It really is go online and look it up on the website. So we're talking with a company by the name of Rec, who, unfortunately, it's very close in name, who has an application, several applications for facility rentals, for program sign-ups, for passes for the pool, especially what we're talking about. So you can have your pool pass on your phone, come in, scan it. For those who are a little bit electronically challenged, they also have a hard card for the same reason. They do signage for rental facilities. You can just do a QR code and scan it. And so they also have options for point of sale down the road if we want to go in that direction too. So it's a company based out of California. They were formed from people who help set up Google and Uber Eats and some other Amazon and some other very large companies. The pricing is about very similar to where we are with RecDesk. RecDesk, we pay about $6,800 a year for that. Their proposal is $8,000. RecDesk doesn't have the capability of doing the passes that this new company does, so we get a little bit more service for a little extra dollars. So we've talked to them a few times. We've done some demos. The staff all think it's the way to go. We've looked at a couple different companies. And so I'm going to talk more with them tomorrow and throughout the week and figure out this direction we're going to go. We just paid RecDesk, but RecDesk we can cancel at any time. So we'll only be out of the money from like November, December, January, whenever we cancel. They'll still stay active until we convert over to something new. But we need to find something that's much more user-friendly. We spend a lot of time walking people through signing up for programs, and RecDesk, I think, has gone past its useful life for us, and so we think this is a really good option, especially when it comes to the pool and our ability to have passes where we don't have to sign people in manually anymore. So I just wanted to give you an update on the conversation we're having with them, and we're all pretty excited about it. We think it's going to be kind of the new thing for us for a long time, so should be a good solution for us. Sunrise year-to-date summary. I think that might be in the very back of your packet. Pull it out so I have the numbers in front of me. We closed December with almost $9,000 in sales, which is better than last year. Last year we had $6,600 in sales in November. Year to date, we are in deficit of $131,000 for Sunrise, $481,500 in revenue, $613,000 in expenses rounded. So you're going to ask me where all the expenses are coming from?
You bet we are.
So if you look at, just say for November, we had expenses of $61,000 in November. Of that $61,000, $51,000 of it was salary and benefits for employees. So we had about $10,000 in expenses, operating expenses. Salaries and benefits are the biggest number in our expenses for the golf course. And so we had a conversation at golf board last week and made it very clear that we need to do a much better job of managing our staff up there. We need to be a little bit more sharp, and we need to be making sure that people are working and getting work done. And we don't need to have a ton of bodies up there to do that work. So that will be a very strong focus for us coming in the new year. We also have very lofty revenue goals for next year. And so there has to be a lot of work done on generating revenue from outside sources, events, league play, junior play. We have to generate more revenue at the golf course, and we have to cut our expenses if we're going to be even, breaking even. Now we'll roll out tomorrow, we'll roll out season passes for next year. We're going to communicate in the morning through our communications department that if you buy in December, you can purchase them at this year's price. Starting January 1st, they'll go into next year's pricing. And so we're hoping that'll generate some revenue in December and help cut back on this number, with the caveat that we still have 2 pay periods left in December as well that we're going to have to capture. So not good numbers at the golf course. I'm pretty disappointed. I just think we need to do a better job managing our staff up there. The good news was we were ahead of last year in food service by about $10,000 and a little bit ahead in greens fees from last year. A lot of our expenses this year, we spent a lot of money on water. We spent $32,000 on water. We spent $8,000 on electricity. We spent probably $12,000 to $15,000 on irrigation repair this year, which is a new expense, and that's going to keep climbing for us. So we're seeing the age of the golf course now more than ever. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse before we can get some maintenance and renovation done on it. But we're gonna attack it hard next year with more programs to bring in revenue and again to manage our staff more effectively.
So you're saying that you think the reason why, all right, so we don't, okay, the end of November, I can see the deficit there, November of '24. And then I see the year-to-date. Last year, same time, how similar is that big, fat, ugly number to last year?
We're much bigger in the deficit this year than last year. I think.
And you think it's just more staff?
Well,
and
we've had more expenses maintaining the golf course this year. Our chemicals before used to cost us $65,000. We spent $52,000 this year, which is $3,000 under budget. So that was a big goal for us to help
Right.
reduce that. So we did that very well. We had a very dry summer, so we had a lot of irrigation, probably more irrigation than we normally would have. And then with the aging irrigation system, we had a lot of breaks. I mean, I think Christian said on hole 2, he fixed the same location 3 times. He'd fix it, it would operate, then it would break. Same thing. So we were chasing a lot of leaks on the course, trying to fix that, which probably didn't help the irrigation bill. But just maintaining the facilities, our equipment was getting older, so we're spending a lot of money fixing tractors and tires, and we thought for sure that we blew up our one big tractor, but we got that fixed for $600 instead of $6,000. So we're right now trying to keep things together with a little bit of bubble gum and duct tape, and it's expensive, and that's where a lot of our expenses are from. Straight out, our biggest expenses are salaries and benefits.
And have we increased our staff up there?
No, our staff has stayed the same.
No, we said this at the golf board meeting. I mean, don't know what we can do about staffing other than, people that aren't on salary and benefits, in my opinion. We're already like a quote,
Right.
unquote, a skeleton crew as far as Roger and Christian and Brent.
Right,
And that's about it, right?
Yeah, we've got Brent, who's our mechanic, who's been with the city for a while, but he makes less than what any mechanic you'd buy off the street. We've got Zane, who's our full-time greenskeeper, and Christian. Those are our 3 full-time people in the on the maintenance staff. And we've got Roger, who's our only full-time benefits person in the clubhouse.
Now, there were 2 other guys that helped us with a project a couple weeks ago. A younger kid, 20s, and then a gentleman probably my age.
Yep.
Are they part-time?
They are
Seasonal?
part-time seasonal.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they work 60 to 70 hours a week in the summertime. Some work Saturday and Sunday, and others work during the week. Jace is part-time as well. He's the younger guy.
Okay.
Roger's trying to groom him to do a little bit more in the clubhouse, which is fine. But, we've got to have something for him to do. So we've actually been using him in other the Parks Department over the last 4 weeks or so, helping out Bobo in some other areas. So we're taking some of the burden off the golf course and keeping him busy, helping Bobo out.
So last year, at the end of the year, was it like 50,000 we were in the negative?
That's about
Proximate.
right. Yeah.
And obviously, we will sell some memberships, but not enough to.
No.
So we're going to be, we've almost tripled our deficit, and I just have a hard time believing.
Look, here's last year's year to date, right? So we're $20,000 down in revenue, and we're $100,000 up in expenses.
Right.
Yep.
And I just can't believe that it's the water bills, the irrigation. I don't know. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm struggling, boys.
I mean, if you look at August expenses, $72,000. I don't have any of the detail of what August expenses are, but I can guarantee you it's bodies at the golf course. It's a lot of part-time people. We're spending, I think in November we spent $7,000, $12,000 on part-time people in the golf course in November.
How much?
$12,000. Now they don't get benefits, so that's all just hourly.
They're just hourly.
What are the two payrolls gonna be in December?
They will be a total of about 26,000.
Times two or both together?
What's that?
That's all together, or,
Yeah, we won't, because we really don't have any hourly staff up there now.
okay.
And so all we have is pretty much our full-time benefits
Okay.
eligible people.
I think I'd like to see Roger at a meeting in the near future to help me understand
Yeah.
this deficit.
And I also want to remind you that we had 3 payrolls in November. So that's part of why that number seems really large.
Okay.
But I think we have a plan on the revenue side for next year. I think we have to execute it. And
Well, we had a
so-
plan this year, but it didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just a little frustrated with the dramatic swing. I mean,
Me too.
We all are.
and we got,
We were hopeful, around May.
yeah,
Yeah.
We're looking good.
I mean, even if you look at these numbers, we only had 1, 2, 3, 4. We only had 5 months out of 11 that we were actually in the black. February, March, April, May, and June were the only months that were profitable months.
Okay,
And those are probably passes
but
too.
these probably aren't, and it's still
Can we get a breakdown of,
going down.
where is this at?
I mean, I would hope.
well, like the staff salaries aren't included in
Well,
this.
like where the expenses are coming from, like where we, compared to last year, to see where we're off. I mean, I know it's probably salary and benefits or hourly, but it'd be nice to see that unless I'm missing it.
Yeah, I have from April of last year forward, I believe, because I started in April of last year.
Just to see the different buckets of
Right.
money.
Because we can't fix it if we don't know where we're
And
leaking
I'm sure
money.
you've looked at it, but, and the golf board's probably looked at it. I don't want to, I mean, I know they're working on it, but it just, for us to better understand it. I don't know, chemicals, water, and they're all expensive.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, even our food service and food and beverage operations, we came right in at budget for all of those numbers. So even with prices going up, we budgeted that right where it's supposed to be and managed that where it's supposed to be. So we're going to do inventory in 2 weeks, and we'll know exactly what our food cost was for this year compared to last year, and see how we did with that. So that'll be interesting as well. But it's labor for sure.
Oh, yeah, I mean, employees cost every business the most. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Benefits, insurance,
Now, if I
everything.
recall, there is some donations and stuff from the Friends of Sunrise you can't report. Isn't that correct?
Correct, and we don't include those in our expense lines in this either. So if they donate money for purchases, we manage that separately outside of what this is. So we don't recognize the income when we don't recognize the expenses.
So that's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 this year, right?
I think we had $31,000, yeah. I think we still have a couple thousand left in that fund, but yeah. And those are things that we need to have, but can't afford to have. So, it's the signage and it's the golf course furniture, the buckets and the trash cans and those kinds of things that are nice, but
Cosmetic.
cosmetic, yeah.
How many signs have we sold for sponsors?
8.
So there's potential revenue right there that's just sitting
Yep.
in the garage, ready for a sponsor.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Might as well move on because I have a bad attitude. Skate discussion, please.
Yes, I had an email from, excuse me, Kenny Higbee, who is going to open an arcade slash pickleball slash, or not pickleball, cornhole slash skating rink in the old Orchland Grubbs Automotive Building. And so he reached out to see if we would be interested in selling, leasing, or renting our skates to him for him to use so he doesn't have to pay for them. So I asked for him to come in this afternoon. He came in about 3:30. We had a good discussion. He thinks he's going to be looking to open mid-February, early March. And so for us, we have our New Year's Eve skate planned already, and we talked about doing a Valentine's Day skate, which would still work with his schedule. But then we probably wouldn't schedule anything else until the fall. And so we have the availability of our skates sitting in a storeroom all summer doing nothing. And so I asked him to get me how much he would need, how many pairs he would need, what he's thinking, think through what he would want, and then we can think through whether or not we would rent those to him. I said, we're not going to sell them to you. We could rent them to you. We'll figure out a price, but you need to let me know how many days a week you need them and how many pairs you need, and do all that. And that could be some revenue for us instead of just having them sitting in the closet, with the caveat that if he breaks them, he's got to buy new ones and all the things that go with a rental agreement. So we're going to talk over the next month or two, and he's going to give me some more numbers and give me some better ideas of where he's sitting with those. And then we'll see what we can do to help him out. I've always said we're not here to compete with local businesses. We're here to help fill voids. And if we have somebody filling that void in the community that's going to have a skate rink, awesome. We can have an event or two when we need to, and he's willing to work with us if we have an event where he won't open his. So that's nice. But we're in the early stages having a conversation about what we're going to do with skating, and frankly, we'll see how successful he is, and in 6 months or so, we'll see where we are, and we can have another conversation again. So I just want to let you know, he approached me, and I was open to the conversation about how we might be able to work together on that.
Okay. Any questions for Scott about the skate thing?
What all did it include? I must have missed that. Skate, cornhole, and what?
He's going to have like an RC track. He's going to have
What's RC? Sorry.
radio control.
Thank you.
Yes. He's going to have an arcade. He's going to have, I think he's going to have a concession stand. He's going to have cornhole. He says he runs cornhole tournaments now, so cornhole will be a big piece of that. So just kind of like a family center type of atmosphere. He said his skating rink will be 90 by 45, which is smaller than a regulation basketball court. So it's smaller because that's what will fit there. So he's a little bit concerned about that. But we'll, see how that goes. But he's not ready to open yet. He's still working on some things. So like anybody else, you're taking a chance with your money to do that. I wish him the best of luck. I really do. That takes a lot of nerve and a lot of intestinal fortitude, and you got to root for anybody who wants to do that.
Absolutely. He sees a need in our community. He's trying to fill it.
Absolutely. Yep. Good for him.
Any other questions before we open it up for public comment? Okay, if there's anybody here that would like to address the park board, please come forward, state your name. This is the open mic. Come on up.
Christmas Carol.
Please hit the little button till you get your red light. Thank you, Ken.
Ken McWilliams, 315 Poplar. And first, Carl, an aside, I don't make many of these, but each time you're gassed at the water bill for Sunrise, he should have had twice that number this year. We had 3 drought periods this year that had horrible effect on the golf course. But then what I wanted to say, if the city has an employee of the year, Christian Hansen needs to be nominated for that. I was out of town a lot during April, May, and I came back in June. And just driving on Michigan, you could already tell the golf course was in stress. And I played, but you could tell that he had already raked the greens or slit trenched the greens. He was on top of what was happening, and he saved our greens. Later in the summer, I played Belterra often, and their solution to the drought in late summer was to flood the greens. The entire course was cart path only because everything was so wet, and we didn't have the water. They were trying to water, and they were hand watering, but just not enough to save it. And how he, roped off number one and seeded it and roped off the other. We always lose a lot of area in our course to summer. Fescue just burns out. But he did a great job at both times in saving that golf course. So, do that, Scott. Get him the money. Get
Thank
him
you,
money.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks,
Christian
Ken.
takes tremendous love and care in the work he does there. The whole crew does.
They love what they do.
I got no qualms with the staff. I just have qualms with the bottom line. But thank you. Thank you for that positive feedback. Anybody else that would like to address the park board? Okay, our next meeting is on a Thursday because of January 1. And that is January 2nd at 4 o'clock. Is that right? 4 o'clock? Do we really vote? Okay. Sorry. It's been a few months. Thursday, January 2nd, 4 o'clock. I would move that we adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.